Have you ever wondered why sleep becomes so fickle with age? Why, at 3 o'clock a.m., does your body seem to be deliberately forcing you to go to the bathroom? And after that, falling asleep is almost impossible. I'm a doctor with over 30 years of experience, and over those years, I've probably heard this complaint 1,000 times. People come and say the same thing. Doctor, I seem to be healthy, but I can't sleep peacefully. I lie down and wake up a couple of hours later, and every time I see the fatigue in these people's eyes, I think, how unfair that such a simple gift as sleep becomes a luxury over the years. But you know what's most amazing? In most cases, the cause isn't illness, pills, or even age. The cause is in the little things, in those very habits we don't think about, and one of them is what we put on our plate at dinner. Yes, it sounds too simple to be true, but in my experience, it's the simple things that often prove the most effective. There are spices that can do more than just improve digestion or warm the body. They can affect the blood vessels, bladder, and nervous system. So you sleep peacefully, without waking up, without that nighttime rush, without feeling tired in the morning. I'll tell you about 6 such spices. You're probably familiar with some of them, but you wouldn't guess how powerful they are at night after 50. And one of them, the most unexpected, literally restores the connection between the nervous system and the bladder. And you know, I'll save it for last because it helped one of my patients, a 72-year-old man, sleep for 7 hours straight again for the first time in 20 years. So I ask you to watch this video to the end. I'll show you something that can restore you to restful deep sleep without nighttime trips to the bathroom. Believe me, this is not magic or a miracle. This is knowledge that Eastern healers have used for centuries, but which modern people have forgotten. With age, our body becomes more sensitive too. Small details, to temperature, to food, to anxiety before bed, and if in our youth the body easily dealt with nighttime overeating, cold water, or stress, after 50 everything is different. Even a light dinner or the wrong food combination can upset the balance, and the night turns into a series of awakenings. But I want to show you that you can regain restful sleep without pills, simply by changing a small detail: what you chew in the evening. I beg you, don't ignore this topic. Lack of sleep destroys the body slowly and imperceptibly. It affects your heart, your memory, your sugar levels, even your mood. And if you've been waking up in the middle of the night for a long time, thinking this is normal with age, you're mistaken. This can be corrected if you know how. And now I'll tell you something that many underestimate: the connection between spices, kidney blood flow, and sleep quality. Believe me, when you understand this mechanism, you'll never look at spices the same way again. But first, let me ask you a question. Do you allow yourself to truly rest, not just lie down, but relax, let go of anxiety, allow your body to recuperate? After all, sleep is more than just rest. This is a way to prolong youth, restore energy, and feel the taste of life. In the morning, I saw how people changed when they began to sleep peacefully. They stopped being irritable, their blood pressure evened out, their eyes sparkled as if strength had returned from within. And you know what the most touching thing is? Often it all began with a small habit: adding a pinch of a certain spice to their evening tea, or simply chewing a fragrant seed after dinner. And that's what I want to tell you right now. The most important, the most unexpected, the thing that can truly change your sleep and perhaps even prolong your life, I will tell you at the very end of this video. This isn't a publicity stunt. This is something I usually explain only to my closest patients, those who are ready to listen and change themselves. So, make yourself comfortable. We'll begin with the background. Why do nighttime wakings become the norm with age, and how can spices change this scenario? And then, step by step, I'll tell you about 6 simple, accessible spices that restore harmony to the body, relieve internal tension, and help you sleep soundly through the night. And remember, no matter how old you are, 55, 65, or 75, your body is still capable of changing. The main thing is to give it the right signal. When a person is young, their body works like a well-oiled machine. All systems support each other: the heart, blood vessels, kidneys, nervous system, metabolism. But with age, this harmony gradually disturbs, and the very first thing to suffer is the night. Sleep becomes shallow and restless, and many begin to notice that as soon as you fall asleep, it's as if the body deliberately gives the signal: get up, go to the bathroom. I've seen this hundreds of times. People come to me with the complaint: Doctor, I go to bed at 10 o'clock, fall asleep, but at 2 o'clock a.m. I Wake up and toss and turn until morning. Some think the problem lies in the bladder, others blame age or stress. But the truth is, it's more complicated and at the same time simpler. After age 50, hormonal levels change and, especially in men and postmenopausal women, melatonin levels, a hormone, decrease, while cortisol levels, an anxiety hormone, conversely increase. And it is this imbalance that disrupts the connection between the brain and the body. The brain can no longer calm the body even when it is tired. The kidneys become more sensitive. The bladder becomes irritable. Blood vessels lose elasticity. Blood. Now imagine this happening every day, for months, for years. The body tires but doesn't recover, the heart works itself to the bone, the brain isn't getting enough rest, immunity declines, and a person, without even noticing, becomes irritable, lethargic, and loses interest in life. I've even seen how lack of sleep destroys relationships simply because a person stops enjoying the mornings. But there's good news in this. The body can be tricked if you give it the right signal, and this signal often comes through the simplest things. Taste, aroma, habit, ritual. Spices are just such signals. You'll be surprised, but spices affect not only the stomach, they influence the nervous system, blood vessels, sugar levels, and even sleep hormones. For example, warm spices like cinnamon or cardamom gently relax the smooth muscles of the bladder and intestines, reducing nighttime urges. Ginger improves blood flow to the kidneys, reducing swelling, while fennel and cumin regulate fluid balance, helping the body maintain balance without putting strain on the heart. Eastern healers knew this hundreds of years ago. They said, "He who knows what to put in his mouth before bed controls his sleep." Modern science now confirms their wisdom. Certain spices stimulate the production of serotonin, a precursor to melatonin, the sleep hormone. In other words, spices literally help the brain calm down and tell the body to rest. In my experience, the body is especially sensitive to aroma and taste in the evening. When a person chews a spice after dinner, the receptors on the tongue are activated, and a gentle signal is sent through the nervous system to the brain. Everything is calm, you can relax. It's like an internal massage for the soul. Not pills, not drops, but simple, warm natural support. I often remember one patient, Galina Ivanovna, 68 years old. She complained that she was waking up 3 or 4 times every night. We tried everything, light, sedatives, breathing exercises, but the results were temporary. And then one day I suggested she try something simple, chew a small piece of warm cardamom after dinner. A week later she came to me and said, "Doctor, I can't believe it. I slept for 6 hours straight." There was such amazement in her eyes, as if she had regained a part of her life. Since then I've been telling all my patients, don't ignore the power of taste and smell. It's not just pleasure, it's the ancient language of the body, which we've forgotten to understand. And if you learn to listen to this language, the body will tell you what it needs for rest, and it gets even more interesting. In the next part, I'll tell you about the first spice to start with. It warms from the inside, improves blood flow, relaxes the bladder, and promotes truly deep sleep. And believe me, you'll feel the effect within a few days. The first thing I always start a conversation about restful sleep with is cinnamon. Yes, the most common cinnamon, which many consider simply a fragrant additive to baked goods. But few people know that this spice has an amazing ability to calm the body from the inside and gently regulate the functioning of the nervous system, blood vessels, and even the bladder. In my opinion, experience has it that if a person begins taking cinnamon correctly, not as a dessert but as an evening ritual, within a few days their body seems to remember what deep sleep means. Why cinnamon? The fact is that it affects 3 key functions that are most often disrupted after age 50: nervous tension, blood circulation, bladder sensitivity. With age, blood vessels become less elastic and blood pressure becomes unstable. This also affects the kidneys. They work a little slower, fluid is distributed unevenly, and the bladder receives excessive signals at night. Cinnamon, on the other hand, helps to dilate blood vessels, improve microcirculation, reduce smooth muscle spasms. As a result, the body stops restless at night. And another important point, the aroma, the smell of cinnamon is not only pleasant, it reduces levels of cortisol, the stress hormone that interferes with fall asleep. Therefore, if in the evening before bed you inhale this warm, cozy aroma, It's as if your nervous system receives a signal. It's time to relax. Let me tell you a story. One day, a 72-year-old man came to see me. His name was Nikolai Stepanovich. He looked strong, took care of himself, but complained, "Doctor, I've slept like a log all my life, and now every 2-3 hours I wake up, run to the bathroom,